close. I don't think so. Normally you don't, so.
How's it going, man? Nice to see us.
Good to see you.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock, according to the clock on the wall. Oh, is our system up?
Not
yet?
quite.
Not yet? Okay, well then let me know. Okay, it's about 4:05. We're 5 minutes late approximately from our 4 o'clock opening. This is the Board of Directors of the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City. And we'll get started this August 26, 2025. Our first piece of the agenda is the approval of minutes for June 17th, 2025. Are there any changes, any additions?
I didn't see any.
Okay,
I will
Okay.
make a motion to approve the minutes of June 17th, 2025.
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to number 2, which is citizen comments. And all citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and email comments will be entered into the meeting record. Do we have any citizen comments online, or Elvon, is there? Okay. Okay. Seeing none, we will continue on. And number 3 is an action item, which is to consider a resolution authorizing and approving the third amendment to the purchase, sale, and development agreement for the sale and development of real property located at 5025 South State Street and 149 East to 179 East Myrtle Avenue, Murray, Utah, and authorizing its execution. Chad Wilkinson presenting. Hi, Chad.
Hi, thank you. Chair, members of the board, grateful to be here tonight. This is a request for an extension to the building permit submittal date. That's a deadline that's in our development agreement. I want to give a little bit of context to that request. We have, since the last time we met to discuss this item back on May 13th, we've had continual meetings, bi-weekly meetings as required in that amendment with the development team to talk about progress of the development. On August 19th, as we were having that bi-weekly meeting, concept was presented to staff that we felt had some merit that we wanted to bring forward to the RDA board for your consideration. That was replacing the existing condominium portion of the development, which was essentially some high-rise condominium, apartment-style condominiums that were going to be provided with this development, and replacing those with additional medical office use instead. So those condominium units would be removed from the plan, and then those medical office units, medical office square footage would be added to the plan. We felt that this had merit. However, there's some steps we have to go through in order for us to approve that. As you recall, the development agreement requires that any kind of material change to the approved plan come before the RDA board. We knew we would need to have some time to do that step. We didn't have time to go through and make sure we've read the entire development agreement and what portions and sections of that would need to be amended to affect that type of a change to bring to you for your consideration. So in order for us to have that time, the applicant has requested an extension to that development agreement building permit submittal deadline. On May 13th, you approved a 3-month extension. At that time, the deadline was the end of May, essentially, May 30th. You approved an extension to September 5th. We have reviewed the applicant's request. We do feel, like we said, that this proposal has some merit. We'd like to bring that to you at the September 16th RDA meeting. These changes are, while it is a material change, the changes to the actual language of the development agreement, the exhibits, they're not major changes. Those are things that we can get turned around by the next RDA meeting. So in order for that to happen, though, we need to extend that building permit submittal deadline to give that time to consider that. So we have looked at that timing of that. We would recommend a 4-week extension. And to be clear, the 4-week extension would be from the original deadline that you approved, September 5th, not from tonight. So that puts you at October 3rd. That's staff's recommendation, to give the time to review that new proposal, for you to consider whether or not you want to go that direction, and then to move forward if you do, and if not, we kind of have our answer on that. So with that, that is staff's recommendation that you would approve this 4-week extension. I will say that the remainder of that, the actual plans, the drawings, the concept drawings that would go with the the potential change. That would come at a future meeting, so we're not necessarily here to discuss that portion of it, but we are here to just, again, in order for us to have time, we would need to extend that. So again, with that, we're recommending approval of that for a 4-week extension. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Chad. I have a few questions.
Okay.
Okay, so this will be the third time,
This is the third amendment to the
the
agreement.
third amendment, the third change, the third time pushing it out further.
The first amendment was more clarification of what those deadlines were. So this will be your second kind of
Pushing
extending
it
the
out.
deadline, right? So,
Okay,
yep,
so this
yep.
is the second extension and,
Of
okay,
that particular benchmark, the submittal of the building permit. Yep.
okay. All right, and you want to extend it to October 3rd. What I'm wondering is if we say no, then what happens?
If we don't extend that, then that would expire unless a building permit is submitted by September 5th. So there would, if the developer was able to get a building permit submitted to us that we could review by September 5th, they could go forward. Otherwise, we would have a default on the agreement, and we'd have to work through that process.
Would we then have to start over in terms of going to the Planning Commission and starting that whole process again?
So there's two tracks. One is the Planning Commission entitlement process. One is this RDA development agreement. They're related, but they're separate tracks. The Planning Commission approval was for the entitlements for the development as proposed in that development agreement. So you wouldn't necessarily have to go back and start over again with that particular process unless, again, for whatever reason, the council wanted to do that. So if the agreement was to expire, if the agreement was to become in default, then we would have to go through the process. In the agreement, it has provisions for what happens with the default. There's a process that we notify the applicant of the default. We go through that process, and they'd have an opportunity to respond. So there is a process involved in a default on the agreement. But the Planning Commission is a little bit separate, and it's a good thing that you brought up. If you should decide to extend this deadline, that is a deadline for building permit submittal. The Planning Commission approval that took place in July, that Planning Commission approved that plan, would still have to be modified, but that could happen subsequent to that building permit. That building permit is for a specific building. The proposed changes don't affect that building significantly. There'll be some small changes to the site, but predominantly that State Street Medical Building, which is the subject of this deadline, would remain the same. So we'd have to go back to the Planning Commission and get an amendment, but that could happen subsequent to that building permit submittal even.
Okay, so we started this process how many years ago?
I believe this was approved in 2023, if I remember right, the fall of 2023, right around that time.
Okay, so 2 years almost. We're going
Close
on
to 2 years, yeah.
on almost 3, yeah. Okay, questions from the council?
I'll speak up. I've been involved with a lot of building projects in my previous job with the LDS Church and their meeting house facilities department. Delays and cost overruns are somewhat normal in the construction process. The delays in this one and the extensions in this one are a little bit concerning to me. I have been a strong supporter of this project from the very beginning, but I'm beginning to lose faith. I'm wavering at this point as to whether we should continue or not. I think that we're not seeing the kind of progress that we would expect to see from a developer who's serious about this. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, and I'm not going to ask your opinion, but I just want to make that statement that I'm concerned at this point.
Any other comments?
I would just mention, we do have our development team here represented behind me, if you have questions for them.
I would like to hear from you guys, and I would like you to convince us that you really are serious about this and that this is going to go forward. You know, I'd like more information from you.
Thank you very much. I honestly believe that your feelings are sincere, and I acknowledge the fear that you all have through this. We've been afraid and frightened. I'm just telling you the place we have been. We have had some investors early on that committed to us.
Would you go closer to the
Oh,
microphone?
okay.
Thank you.
How's that better? We've had some investors that committed to us early on with the project, and we were quite excited about that, and they were going to help us finance the whole thing. They wrote a letter in our application that we submitted to you all, and then they backed out. And so we were kind of scrambling to get additional investors to invest in the project. And so we went out and we blanketed and talked to dozens and dozens of people about helping finance this project. And it was quite a scary time, quite frankly, because we're going, are we going to be able to get financing for this? Because if we can't, we need to come to the city and say, we can't get financing, okay? And so through that process, we presented to a whole bunch of people and boards of directors about the investment. And several of them came to us and said, your housing towers won't work because you can't finance a condominium. And we went, well, we were really in love with the idea of the condominiums because we thought, hey, this will really be a nice place to live, you know, and for some of the doctors that work in the facility, they would probably love a view of Mount Olympus across the ball fields and things like that. So the first few investors we talked to, quite frankly, said, yeah, that might work out okay. But the further they looked into the investment situation and the ability to finance those, they came to us and said, look, if you lose these towers, then we'll finance it. And we went, okay, really? I mean, it really broke my heart because I wanted to see those towers. I wanted to live in one, okay, that would bring me back to Murray. And I was really excited about that, but they said, look, it's not going to work. You've got to eliminate those. So as we studied it, put the performance together, and Jeremy can address the financial better than I, but we looked at that and we said, all right, well, let's switch gears. Let's put another office building in here. Let's combine those two towers. And I've got some drawings here if you'd like to look at those. And so as we were meeting with the groups of investors, they were saying, yeah, if you lose those, we're in. So we scrambled, and it took us a month or two to recreate the model and recreate the performance and get that put together. Once we put that together, then people went, yeah, okay. And so we have a really strong group of investors right now. In fact, Jeremy and I had lunch with these fellows today. And I went to them and I said, look, our reputation at Murray is something that we want to preserve 100%. And if you're going to be able to finance this for us, you need to let us know now. Because at 4 o'clock, we're going to a meeting, and we're going to represent the aspects of what you've told us. The fellow looked me right in the eye and said, there's only one stipulation. We have to park money and purchase the ground before January 1. And I said, that would be perfect, because that would work for us. Now, Jeremy talked with them and said, hey, we got to get the legal documents together. You sign it, you can put that together. But the fellow, I said, now, I'm going to go represent your thoughts to the people that I love and the city that I've loved all my life, okay? I'm going to go represent that. So if you're not in, I need to know. And he goes, oh no, we are so excited about this that it will work for us. And so we felt way relieved because we went, wow, this is great. We had spent a lot of time putting together this new model with the 3 office buildings, setting them just perfectly so they all had good views and that the project worked. And Jeremy spent nights and weekends putting together performas that they could rely upon. And so they are very excited about this project. In fact, today at lunch, the one fellow goes, I'm so darn excited about this because I feel like I'm doing something for a community. And I said, well, that's the way we've looked at it. We've looked at it as we're trying to do something that would be wonderful for Murray City and not necessarily a bunch of housing. We do have 15 townhomes left to sell that hide the parking structure that we think are of vital importance to the project. And so as we spoke with your staff and they said, hey, you've got to get these drawings in, you've got to get them in quickly, we need them in by such and such a date, we're not going to be able to hit that date. We're not going to be able to do all the drawings that are necessary. So I met with Chad yesterday and I said, Chad, is there some way we can have a deferred submittals on this project so we can do the structure itself, get that approved by the city, potentially begin to build that part of the deal, and then when we get electrical and mechanical and plumbing, we will get those reviewed by the city and move those into place and continue building. So it's our intention to strive to work with the staff to make sure that works for us. Now, I know that people think, well, to put some architectural drawings together, that should be fairly straightforward or fairly easy to do. Well, there's a lot involved with that process. In fact, I brought a set of drawings here that I want to show you for a building that's pretty close to the size of our first building on State Street, okay? And it's the EMI Health building that's just over here. Here's the drawings for that building, okay? These are the documents that we need to put together. There's 151 pages in here. Anybody have an idea what that would cost? Architectural fee on that would be? Anyone, just a guess?
No.
Okay. If you go to a 6% fee, that's $2,400,000. And that's what that costs to do. Now, we have invested pretty close to $750,000 ourselves without an investor, okay? Believing that we could assist Murray City, that we could make this thing happen, and that it would turn out very well. Then, when I looked at the extension, I looked at it and I thought, wow, I'm not sure how we could get, unless we had the MEP drawings that could go in secondarily, we still would request that there's an opportunity to extend that to sometime in October. But the key for us, we have to close on the land with our investor before January 1. So that's what we'd like to work with the staff to work out potentially an agreement that would allow us to do that. We put a couple of years of our lives into this, and the first year or two, of course, we haven't been paid anything since we started it, but we feel like we're in a great situation. But I just didn't want to be personally the one that told you that. I had to hear that from the investor. And they are all in. One of the investors recently sold a business, which allows them to get tax credits if they purchase it before the end of the year. and I know that's the city's goal as well. But I just want to say that this ship has gone like this. It's been really tough for us to change direction, focus all of our emphasis. But if we didn't come here without an investor, you should terminate our contract tonight, okay? But I believe, I honestly know that we have an investor and a group that can come in and take care of this. And so I'd like to get as much time as we could and work out with the staff a way that we could make this happen for both of us. So anything I've missed, Jeremy? Just trying to be as open as I know how. And I would, like I said, I appreciate your concern, because I would be too, and we have been at one point or another. We felt, oh man, this has got to work. This is too good a thing for the community, for the location, for the identity. To put this tower up, would be a wonderful thing for us to do. But that's kind of my 2 cents.
Diane, I'll be super brief. I won't repeat what Jim said necessarily, but I'll go a little bit deeper on a couple of things. So thank you for your time. Jeremy Lowry, 757 East Verona Meadows Court. I don't know if we're supposed to say it. I can hear I could do in Planning Commission, but that's where I live. This is a big project, and it's just something that, Paul, to your point, it's a challenging it's been a challenging project. I'll just go give a little bit of detail as we went out into capital markets to have discussions about loans and capital for equity. As you all saw and you approved, we initially had what I would refer to as a large mixed use development. So restaurants, office, and quite a bit of housing. As we talk to folks we talk to people in our state, we talk to people in neighboring states, talk to people all across the country. As we talked to them, what we heard from people at first was excitement, but then as we got deeper, people started telling us that the for sale housing in particular, the for sale condos, was a gate for them. It was the exact term they used. The reasons for it are there's a myriad of reasons. That's why you don't see a lot of condos that are for sale being built in today's world. They say that smart people learn from others' experiences and dumb people learn from their experience. I guess we had to learn from our own experience. We took a long time to go down that path. We got to a point where we were pretty deep with a group. I think that there was a handshake between Jim and the principal. This would be a name brand group that everyone here has heard of. And it was, just let's get rid of the housing. And that was really where it came from. Let's get rid of the housing. As we got rid of the housing, and as Jim said, we still have 15 townhomes. So we just got rid of the towers and redesigned it. It took time to do that. Our capital raising has taken a much different approach since then. We do have verbal commitments from a few different groups at this point that would be sufficient, the verbal commitments to close on the land and begin our initial work. I want to be completely straightforward, and we don't have written agreements with them. Don't want to represent that we do. We do have verbal. We have verbal commitments that yes, we will do this, and we're working with legal counsel to draft subscription agreements and those instruments that would do that. If I didn't think it was likely, I wouldn't come and tell you that I would like to continue doing this. I think that we've all been down this road for a long time. All of us would like to be moving forward. And I don't know that any of us, it's more so than the others, but we want to be completely straightforward and honest about the situation with where we are. We do think it's like it would be a very large walk back for these different groups to say, actually never mind as we work through that process with the subscription agreements, but it could happen. I would be surprised if it did. We're at a point where they would not have any legal recourse if they did, because it's just verbal representations at this point. But beyond that, folks, these folks have been very excited about it, and our capital raise has gone in a markedly different directions since we eliminated the condo towers. It's been a much different process. Beyond that, we've had the pre-leasing has been very strong, and we feel very good about the State Street building. We basically have commitments for 4 of the 5 floors, in forms of leases that are being reviewed by attorneys and LOIs. So, there's definitely demand for the site. Medical has demand, and we believe that it will be a successful project. And we appreciate your time and your indulgence for our delay. Happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay,
Could I ask a question?
yes.
Now, I'm no attorney, even though I sit next to GL, there's no osmosis.
I mean, you'd think it would rub off eventually, right?
Yeah, eventually you think it'd rub off, but I think you went to school for that. I have just a suspicion. But I do know that you've mentioned a few times you have a verbal commitment, and legally that carries 0 weight.
Yep.
So you had a verbal commitment before,
We've had a few of them, to be honest with you.
and they've fallen through. What's different about this time than the other times where it's fallen through? Give me something to make me believe that you are really going to go through this time.
Well, we go through every time. So, I think that I'll just tell you that in the past, our activities had been focused on one particular partner, and at this point, we're working closely with a few different groups. There's, I would say, four unique groups that are talking about joining the capital stack, and so I would imagine at least one of them will walk back and won't follow through. But of the 4, 3 of them have the ability to, and we've requested a commitment that would be sufficient to close on the land, and they've indicated a verbal commitment for that. So I would imagine that all of the 4, I bet that one of them doesn't make the investment and doesn't move forward. I sure hope that the other 3, at least one of the other 3 will. So I don't want to make I can't commit them beyond what we've done verbally, and as we work through the legal documents for them to sign the subscription agreements. I wish I could commit them, and I wish I could write an 8-figure check myself. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a project that I love,
Yep.
but I'm
Yeah.
just, you know,
Well, and I think one of the points of comfort that I've received is one of the investors worth several hundred million, okay, and all of them are in that situation. And that one committed to me and said, look, if you need $10 million, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Okay, and so I look at that and I believe this person is very honest. I think he's full of integrity. But we did say to them today, we got to put this in writing so we can bring it back to the city and show that there's this commitment. We did have a commitment somewhat from that first group. It was a little loosey-goosey, but they said, yeah, we're in, let's go. Okay.
And that happens, and as you know, that happens in these. But again, in the past, we've been more focused on kind of call it a sole partner. At this point, we're talking to multiple different parties.
thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked about starting with some of the project. How would that look like, and how would that,
Yeah, so
Go.
Jim can answer that a little better, but in essence, it would be about a phased approval approach, which would start with, as simple as a footings and foundation permit, and then begin doing that work. So close on the land, begin the footings and foundation. That would allow us to be working on the working drawings for the building, while they're
the
doing.
building over on Myrtle and
On
Jones?
State, no, on State Street.
On State Street,
Yeah.
okay,
That's the first phase, is the
Okay.
State Street building.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, we have to start the parking structure, which is the center of all the
Okay.
rest of the project.
okay. I was just curious how that would work, and,
Right.
Yeah,
And
good
so
question.
Okay.
I've been asking and working with the staff about, we want to do more than just a footing foundation plan. We want to do the structure. We want to get everything done as quickly as we can, because our investors are now on board. And so, which we'll have in just a few days. That way then we can just turn and burn, if you will,
Yeah.
to get our consultants going and everyone going to move this along.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. All right, we're running late, so we need to continue and decide what we're going to do with the resolution. So If there are no more comments, then I would appreciate a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing and approving the Third Amendment to the purchase, sale, and development agreement for the sale and development of real property located at 5025 South State Street and 149 East to 179 East Myrtle Avenue, Murray, Utah, and authorizing its execution.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
I just want to say that I don't know if I will vote for this, but if I do vote for this, this is the last one. There's no more.
I think you're not alone,
Okay.
okay? Yes, Brooke, would you?
Mr. Hawk?
So I was going to point out a couple things. I think we're dealing with the reality of a condo market. Like, as we're looking at, this is just condo financing is a disaster, and I think it's impressive that you even tried to try to get condos financed. I also think there's something we need to consider here, where this is an increased commercial property, where it's something that we're struggling to retain, that as we look at it forward, like, if we can get more medical, that improves our tax base for a long time. So if it was longer than 4 weeks, I would have hesitancy, but I think 4 weeks hits the sweet spot where it gives you some time, and I feel comfortable with it. So I'm an aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
And Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, the motion passes. And now we are on the fourth, and let's kind of go fast on this.
I was just
and
going to
it's a
suggest,
discussion item.
this is an informational item only. We would actually suggest that we bump this to the next RDA meeting on the 16th.
Let's do that.
So
If-
we'll be
if-
ready to get that done.
Okay, if the board's okay, we'll
Yeah.
bump that. Okay, thanks. We don't need a motion. Okay, then we will be adjourned.
get any tickets. Okay, so we decided to have our own fat salmon party, and so we had this party. And so on August 1st, we had this party, and of course, we had salmon as we did it. And we also, with the salmon, we had baked potato, a pasta salad, and a watermelon. And then we
That makes me hungry.
it does. So we had real great decorations. The tables were real nice because April's always great at that. And some centerpieces. They looked real nice. And then when the people came in, they had some little veggie group that they could get their going with it on it. And then for the entertainment, we had Tony Summerlin with the One Man Band, and he played during the dinner, but he also played for about 2:30 for people who wanted to dance afterwards, type of thing. We had a number of our board members serving there as to help people get in and out, and also to help the people as they serve, as they walk through the line sometimes, so they need help. We had a great cook line. We had watermelon cut, and we had chocolate cake even. That's good. And so the people had good stuff. So that part's a bunch of pictures, good. So, but then we had the senior center last month. Corey talked about the line dancing group, and so we had a group that the article itself said strapping on your dancing shoes, how dancing helps. And then one of the interesting things to me, was that there's 87-year-old Carol Perry is still dancing after 32 years. So she's a real dedicated person. But there's a lot of exercise and sociality going on in this thing. So now, this one, let's see if I can, no, I don't have the sound, but this is the video that we prepared. So,
Yeah, very nice.
Cute.
Someday I'll be able to dance like that.
I'll never dance like that.
Are you in there, Hal?
no, I'm not in there. I'm surprised the mayor didn't. He
I
came
was
short up there,
there,
didn't
I was there watching it, but I didn't offer, no, they didn't offer for me to be in it.
And then Corey talks a little bit. So anyway, that's part of the, well, I think then he talks after, and then that Corey gets long-winded, sometimes. But then I think they do a little more dancing after this. So the whole thing is about a minute on the presentation now. Anyway, so too bad you got, the rest of you can't, there, well, I think that's the rest of them. They're doing some more dancing. So, but then, it's a pretty good, we haven't heard anything back that I know of that, as far as whether Caitlin is gonna come on board with it or not. So, but anyway, that's the presentation, too bad you can't see it, just imagine it, okay? So, thank you for allowing me to be telling you about our great events here at the center.
Thank you, Hal.
It's good to see you.
Just
Hal.
incidentally, we haven't heard back from Kelly Clarkston.
Right.
She experienced a death in her family,
Yeah.
her ex-husband.
Yeah.
I've talked to the producer and, we're not forgotten, it's just, they're just a little bit on hold. So we're hoping that they're gonna send a remote team out to Salt Lake City, Murray,
Yep.
and do a feature, so.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Hal. Okay, our next discussion item is the power department fee changes for residential electric service upgrades. Greg Ballon presenting. You have 15 minutes.
Going shorter than that? I'm seeing a yes over here. I had a really good presentation as well, but I'm gonna hold out for now.
Hey,
Hello. council.
This is our way to speed up the meeting. Just get rid of everybody's PowerPoints.
No PowerPoints, just keep rolling.
Well, thanks for letting us come and be with you tonight. So what we're doing is we're just proposing some fees for residential upgrades. We've been inundated by residential upgrades. I don't know what's driving it. I don't know if someone's out knocking doors. I'm not sure what's driving it, but we get quite a few every week now. And so originally, what would happen if someone came in and said, I want to go from a 100 amp service to a 200 amp service, we'd look at it, see how it would affect. So you'd have to, once you look at that, you'd say, okay, what's the capacity of the transformer? Is this increased capacity going to overload our transformer? And if it did, that person that's upgrading at the moment would bear the cost of replacing the transformer. So we got together and we thought, let's make this more equitable for everyone involved, us and the residents. And let's look at, so if someone comes in now, we're proposing for an overhead transformer, say they come in, they get their application, permit, whatever they're gonna get, and we look at it and we will assess them a fee of $435. And then, so what that does is that spreads the cost of that transformer. So maybe it might not be, this person might not need to upgrade it right now, but say the next neighbor comes along, needs to be upgraded. Now they would bear the cost of, on the old system. With the new system, just anybody that's upgrading on that transformer or just upgrading in general is gonna pay $435 to just kind of pay their share of what it might cost eventually. So I think it's very equitable, very fair, and it kind of spreads the cost. And
Why would you do that? Why would you want to do that?
well, someone might want an EV parked in their garage.
That's
You know, Diane, she's setting up.
Thanks for setting me up for that softball question right there. I like that. Or a hot tub, or they just, I know one person came and said, my insurance, they're selling the house and they couldn't sell it to the new individual. Their new individual wanted 200 amp service, or at least 150 amp service for insurance purposes. I mean, that's a new one to me. I can't imagine that, but it's out there. And so that was what was said to them. So it just got us thinking. It's like, well, let's look at this. And we really like the idea of, and what else this will happen, and this will do is we'll get into the E360 software that's at the building division. So it'll just be an automatic thing. They don't have to come and go through all the approvals right now that we're doing. I mean, we're doing a lot of approvals right now. That'll just be in the system, and it can just be automated at that point. So it makes, I think it really makes sense. And then the other, that's the,
So,
yeah.
let me understand this a little bit. So there's no timeline on when person 2 pays the $435. It could be 10 years down the road.
Yes.
So let's say it is 10 years down the road and we've increased the fee off of this. So now it's, say, $500. Do they pay $500 or are they paying $435?
Whatever the fee would be at the time.
Whatever the fee is at the time.
So if they got in, we haven't, if they paid $435, then they're good at $435, and we'll just increase that fee for anybody going forward, so.
Question.
Yes. Sorry.
Wouldn't you? I didn't mean to speak for you.
He said yes, so go ahead. It's fine, right? That's
He's in charge now.
Thanks, Sam.
Is that you would obviously, if 5 years down the road it was more expensive, you'd come back to the council and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
that's not better, or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're,
I love that.
hey, we're family.
You didn't delegate that authority to me.
It's all good, it's all good. I do have a question on number 4. It says sale for resale shall not be allowed under this schedule. What does sale for resale shall not be allowed? What does that mean, number 4?
The special conditions, E4.
On the 15.20.1.
That's what I've got. Oh, I forgot to introduce, so I've got,
Oh,
come sit up here, you two. I've got Eric Bracewell, he's our operations manager, and Chris Neiman, our engineering manager. So this is Eric, Chris Neiman, so.
is Chris the new one?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. New us.
New us, yes.
Newest to the city and newest to the position.
Yes, that's right. And he's with engineering, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
all right. Okay. Welcome, gentlemen.
So they're gonna take this question for me.
Oh, okay, so it says sale for resale
So that's.
shall now be allowed under this schedule.
So that's typically like, so the mobile home park.
Okay.
So if it's primary meter, there's 1 meter, and
Yes.
then they can't resell that power at a profit.
Yeah, at a higher rate than what we charge.
Oh,
So and make money on it, right? So where,
They can't take power from us and resell it at a higher rate to their customers.
That's cool.
okay,
So not
Got
resell,
it.
basically, yeah.
you're not taking that and then charging them making a profit on it. So-
okay.
There's mud.
Yeah,
Well, it's because they're the sole provider for that,
Yeah,
right?
for
So, so
Exactly. Yeah, we're the power company. You don't want someone else acting like the power company.
Yeah.
yeah, they're gatekeeping power.
got it.
Essentially, correct.
Okay. And so, say for instance, I buy this,
You wanna upgrade your service?
yeah,
Yes,
and then I sell the house.
yes.
Do the people that buy my house, do they have to pay anything, or do they just
No, that
take
won't.
what we have put into the house and they just get all the benefits that we have?
Exactly, yes,
Okay.
like,
Just add
like the
435.
solar.
I'll put 435 on top of the house after.
The solar that's on your home, all that stuff just kinda goes with it.
That,
right?
okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know if they
So-
had to come to you and say, listen, we bought this house, we have to pay for this.
No, and this will be kept track of per home.
Okay,
So the, right, that fee goes to whoever's paid it, and so that
Okay.
house is now paid. So we'll have a nice little spreadsheet that keeps track of everything that's been paid.
okay,
And once you've gone up to 200 amps, you can't go any higher unless you go to a different class. So if you're already at 200 amps, you wouldn't have to worry about upgrading it anymore, so
okay.
Yeah, and if
we
you
do
go,
offer a free 200
Unless I want to be Scotty and I need more power.
yes, and if you need to go to a higher, like 320 amp or above, then you're gonna be a commercial rate.
Okay,
So that
Okay.
is, cause that increases, well, a lot of those times people have their own transformers at that point anyway. If they're done with that big of a home, so. And then the other section was, we're just updating, line extensions.
Yep.
And, I'm self-explanatory there if you have any questions, but, in the past, there were some things that were rebated, but I think back in the day, they were trying to encourage, people to come in and develop, but we don't need that in there now. They need to bear the full cost of whatever they're developing at this point, so.
Yep.
So,
Makes sense.
alrighty,
Do we have any other
Any other
questions,
questions?
council? Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
See you in a week.
I got your Star Trek reference, by the way.
We heard you giggle.
Thanks.
Thank you for that, yeah.
Okay, all right, our next discussion, how are we doing on time, Jennifer? Okay, here we go. Discussion on an ordinance amending section 17.24.050, 17.96030, 17.100.030, 17.104.030, 17.08.030, 17.112.030, 17.116.030, 17.120.030, 17.124.030, and 17.128.030 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the maximum number of children permitted at a licensed in-home daycare.
Hello.
Wow.
So, what's that?
I just
they
have a
didn't hear.
question. I know this person.
Okay.
Is it okay that,
I think I think you just have to state it
I mean, in
on
what
the record
capacity
that-
do you know? Is it a relative?
Yeah, it should be.
friend and neighborhood? So I know the person. So I just wanted to let you know.
Just so the record
Okay.
knows it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm just gonna start very quickly and then I'm gonna turn it over to David because he wrote most of the code here. But if you guys remember earlier this year, we came to you about a request for an increase to childcare, and at that time, the council said that they'd be willing to kind of have the discussion. So we are now here to have the discussion. So I'm gonna turn it over to David to kind of go over the changes in the code.
Thank you so much, council. It's nice to see you and be here with you all. So we got a request from a resident who operates an at-home daycare and had other at-home daycares also sign that they wanted to do this as well, to raise the number of kids from 12 to 16 located within an at-home daycare. This comes after the state of Utah in November of 2023 also raised that threshold, so we would be raising it to match what the state allows us to do. So Zach tasked me with looking at several different city codes, different ordinances around the valley to see what other cities do. And I came up with this language that is before you guys. So we are allowing to go from 12 to 16 if certain conditions are met. And we have outlined 8 conditions that we believe allow more children to be had safely in the home and that allow a daycare to operate the way that they're intended to provide more childcare opportunities for residents within the city and to allow local businesses to be able to operate in a way that they can do so safely and fulfill a need in the community. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any about the language that was drafted. Most of it, just like I said, came from other ordinances around and we kind of tweaked it and adapted it to do what we think would work here in Marion.
Are there any other cities around us that don't do the state?
So
I mean,
most of the surrounding cities have not raised it to 16. We would be one of the first if we do.
I don't think it's a good idea because when you go from 12, that's increasing 4 and you have 2 staff members. I mean, that just seems like a lot. And I know they're concerned about their bottom line. That's what I kept reading, but I'm concerned about the safety of the children. So that's why I keep thinking that's a lot of kids for.
And I would say, so the state of Utah does dictate a minimum square footage requirement per child. So by the city potentially allowing this does not negate them from getting the required state and county permits that are required to be licensed as a childcare facility.
Is that where that's determined? The state determines the square footage? That's
Yeah,
what I kept
they
looking.
have a minimum. I think it's 35 square feet per child that have to be allowed. And so what happens and what we've seen happen consistently is that the state will say, you have enough for 16. And then they'll apply for 16 and we're like, no, Murray only allows 12. And so there's this confusion, this just disconnect, and there's usually, some sort of bickering going on about, well, we can be more strict than the state, and even though they allow it. And so it's just it's a weird area.
So even though we're allowing that many, it doesn't mean that they could technically have that many.
Correct.
Yeah.
Without the proper square.
Cool.
Without, right, yeah,
But
without
they
review.
probably will, because that's gonna make more money for them.
But they won't be able to do it without the proper square foot.
They would have to be
Oh, they have
licensed.
to
They have
do-
to have the space.
Okay, so the person who is requesting this, does she have the proper square footage?
She does.
Because she already has the number of kids in her daycare without
Yes.
it, our having approved it.
So she's still licensed through the state to have the 16. And so there's the
Does that
disconnect.
overarch the city?
No. So yeah, that's she shouldn't be having that currently. Right. So that's why she's gone forward with this request.
And something specifically we put in here, working with business licenses. Currently, there's nothing that says whether the kids are the parents' kids, like if the provider have their own kids or not. And here specifically, we've said that their children, so the provider's children, count towards the 16.
That's good.
And that's something that's kind of dubious before.
That's a good,
That's good. I also think it's important to remember, like, this is somebody who's trying to abide by the rule, so they're trying to.
Right, like this is there's a degree where it might be leveling the playing field a little bit for
Yeah.
those who are trying to do it right.
Yeah.
If we allow this to go through.
And I'm encouraged, that notices were sent out with no response during that speaks well of her, that she hasn't let it get out of control, so That's awesome.
But she also has these petitions that have been
Right,
signed.
yeah.
That,
I mean, so that's-
and these are, some of these people are,
Mhm.
I know, so.
You're going, wow.
Yeah.
Um, If I'm reading it correctly, they can have up to 8 sessions per week and up to 16 children per session.
That's correct.
So one address could see the coming and going of 122 children a week
At the maximum.
at the maximum. I always look at things at the extreme.
Sure.
Because if we're allowing it, that's how we need to look at it. So I'm
That's
thinking
not
of.
100, that's not 122 unique children. It's 100.
No, they're not unique children.
Right, okay.
No, they're just 122 people,
Yeah.
students total, right?
Yeah.
Can I see what you're looking at real quick when you mention that? Cause that might be for something different.
Conditional uses, in the single family dwelling only in which at least 7 or no more than 16 children will receive instruction at any given time. There'll be no more than 8 sessions per week, and each session will be last longer than 3 hours. So I take 8 times 16.
Paul's not gonna go cut that paper.
I'm not letting go of my paper. I'm just a little concerned if I'm living across the street from that and I have 122 kids during the week dropped off and picked up, there's a drop off and a pickup, which makes it, I don't know, I'm concerned about the congestion. My street is a narrow street.
This street isn't.
I'm not saying this
So-
case particular, right?
We have to consider the narrow street too.
Yeah, we have to consider all the streets, because if we're allowing it in Murray, we're allowing it in every street. Narrow streets, wide streets. So I'm just concerned at 122-ish kids in and out, potentially, of a neighborhood.
Is that the preschool standard?
It is the
That
preschool
is the,
standard.
that's what I'm checking,
Yeah.
it's like, why is the preschool standard in here?
Is that-
That was my other question.
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
way
it is.
over.
Right.
So
Yeah, and this is a daycare.
Preschool and daycare they are separate, they're considered separate in our code.
Okay.
So this is a clarification I have, because when we had the first meeting, we lumped preschool and daycare together, but
Oh.
your comments to the planning commission separated.
They are separated.
We are separated.
So,
We've separated.
we'll get it corrected, so that is what's in, the written ordinance. We'll get it corrected in the ordinance, because in the text, so if you go to the packet, for
Yes, right
example.
here.
Yeah, if you go to the packet and it says so if you look at the red lined
Yeah.
request for changes, it's 6815 residential childcare facility and single family dwellings only with no more than 16 children other than those residing in the dwelling.
Yeah, that was the what changes we made to the residential code.
Yeah, so there looks like there was an error in the ordinance.
Okay.
Drafting of the ordinance, which we can get corrected before the meeting.
Numbers for preschool.
Yeah, well, can you just give me that number in that box right there?
6815.
Okay.
Use number 6815, is that what you need?
Yes, but we do have it separated in our code where it says residential childcare facility and then one says preschool. So we'll need to clean that up a little bit.
Okay.
But it should not be preschool, because preschool is different, because those are sessions.
Yeah.
Where a daycare, thank you, daycare is largely day. Yeah, it's like an all day
Right, all
thing,
day
right?
thing.
Yeah, it should not be the sessions. When you started saying that, I'm like, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't sound like what we wrote. So yeah, we can get that corrected.
And they take babies up to 4 years old, 5 years old, right?
Yeah,
For
typically,
daycare,
yeah, I
it's
think
considered-
daycare, it can go up to 12 years old, I believe.
Yes, it can go up to 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
So a daycare would be up to 16 in a day total,
Day,
so
yeah.
it times 5 days
Yeah,
a week,
yeah.
however many
Exactly.
they come,
Wh-
so.
Whatever their hours look like.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Based on the daycare
So,
hours.
so let me just do my math again, I'm really slow at math,
That's okay.
especially when the spotlight's
Oh, I'm
shining on me.
thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah, so 16 times 5 days a week,
Okay,
we're looking at 80 kids.
trips.
Potentially,
Trip,
if they're
potentially trips.
single You know,
Yeah.
maybe they're dropping 2 kids, so that reduces it by some.
Right, exactly.
So we're looking at over 50 trips. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay? That is a little bit concerning.
I can understand that. You have to take a look at it, the 12 currently, right? So 12 times 50
Yeah, yeah.
5 is 60, right? So it's adding 20.
It's just adding to what already we
Right,
have.
and you also have to take into consideration that obviously not everybody is going to run a residential daycare. I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
definitely
hats
don't.
off, they're needed, right? They're needed. And the last thing I want to do is get in the middle of this because they're needed.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's just one of the things you have to kind of balance, right?
Yeah.
So it's going from 60 to 20, and these are probably smaller. There's so many other regulations that they have to meet in
Yeah.
order to do it. I think, at least looking at the conversation there, I've lost my train of thought, it's gone. So I think it's worth, you know, having or allowing this up to 16 in these instances because I just don't think it's going to have a large enough negative impact to most neighborhoods.
From what we already have, right?
What
So
we
from
already
60 to 80 total.
Right. I mean, and that's a extreme case, right?
Yeah, of course. I just want to get that
For
point
sure.
out there. I want our people we represent to know that we are thinking about this, discussing this, and this is still in our mind. And if they have comments on that, contact us and let us know if that's an issue.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
So, the state requirement, I'm reading her letter, on the square footage, is 35 square feet per child. That's in there. So they only need 500 square feet roughly for 16 children, 560?
Yeah, 560 square feet.
So how do they? Yeah, I'm like, how does that classified? Help me understand what the state
I
regulations
think there's some, I don't interpret the state
A
code
bedroom
very
doesn't count, I'm assuming, does it have to be like the open living space in the house, if it's an in-house? I guess
I
if they're
think
not
there's
even-
multiple iterations of this. Oh.
And if we need to, we can.
We can always
go
come back to
the
this.
state website and come back to you with that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm going at, is, I'm just wondering about our RM zones, like, if we allow this with what you're saying with the traffic, those are our narrower streets in our RM zones. Like, what's that gonna do to an RM zone if we allow this to go to 16?
Sure, and I think it might be good to come back at the next committee of the whole, and we can give you some more information, because I have, you know, there's like, this would probably be helpful, showing you that there's actually an age breakout. Like, if you have a certain number of infants, you can only have a certain number of this, things of that nature. So I think if you guys are fine with it, I would probably like to just bring this back, we can delay the.
Yeah, let's have a continuance of this one.
Yeah, we have more than enough time. You have to get packets out of that.
I can
Friday?
do it this week.
We can, we'll prioritize it.
I mean, they've already got it, but we'll just update the
Okay.
stuff, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
One little quick thing before we hop down, I know we're out of time here.
You're actually not, you're good on time for your items.
So we were able to pull up the code and find the land use number, and most of the time in our code, a number and a use correlate, there's just one use for that number. But we were able to find here that interestingly, 6815 has two it has two uses next to it, which is unusual in our code.
Yeah.
And it does split out residential daycare and group instruction as two separate uses, even though they strangely have the same number, and that's pretty unique in the code.
So we just have to clean up the
Clean that up.
ordinance a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll get that.
Let's continue this conversation.
I think, that'd be great to do that, thank you.
Next one is discussion on text amendment to code enforcement, Chad Wilkinson presenting 30 minutes.
Thank you very much. It should be in your packet, but I brought some extra copies in case we need that. Well, without the overhead, I'll just kind of refer to those slides you've got in the packet. I just want to, this is going to be, if we can, this is going to be the beginning of a process is going to take us several meetings to get through, and that's a major overhaul of our existing code enforcement program. So today is kind of the basic building blocks. We're going to talk about basic building blocks. In the subsequent weeks, we're going to come back with the actual ordinance language for you to take a look at. There's going to be a lot of details in that ordinance to make these building blocks happen, right? There's a lot of things that have to be adopted to make these basic building blocks work, but I want to go through the basic building blocks. And in that being said, there's two guiding principles that, at least for me, as I've been going through this process and looking at various ordinances from other cities, that guide me. One is this. Number one, this is what the first building official that I worked with up in Grants Pass, Oregon, would say to me, and it's over the last 25 years, I've come to see that this is true. He said to me that lack of enforcement breeds enmity. Now, to put that in a little bit, those are some $5 words, but you could say lack of enforcement creates resentment, right? So, and that happens with people that are flaunting the code, that happens with people that want the code to be enforced. It's just good citizens that see that the codes aren't being enforced. It breeds resentment. So it's important that if we're going to adopt a law, that we enforce that law. If we decide we're not going to adopt a law, that's fine. We can choose that. But if we have a law, it's important that we enforce that, or otherwise we're going to create resentment in our community. So number two, and this is the biggest guiding principle for me, and I've seen that this is the most effective code enforcement tool, and that is voluntary compliance. And so nothing that we're going to talk about tonight is going to change our approach. The most effective way, and actually if you look at the numbers that we get with our code enforcement, that's mostly what we get. Most people, when you let them know that there's a code violation, they'll voluntarily comply. They may ask for some additional time. They may say, hey, I've got this circumstance that prevents me from doing it as quickly as you'd like, but I can get it done. So we try to work with that because voluntary compliance is always the best method. If we can have someone that's willing to work with us, we want to help them. So, our staff now works to that end. We always try to get that first. But occasionally we don't get that, right? Occasionally there's voluntary compliance doesn't happen. And so we have to have a program in place that allows us to follow up on those things when we don't have voluntary compliance. So we're just going to talk briefly about what we do right now. We have now a system that's in place. We have notices that go out to property owners. The first notice that people receive is, I guess you could call it kind of a warning notice. It's a 14-day notice, a first notice, where we identify that there's a code violation. Could be a variety of things, could be zoning issues, could be other issues. But and this does not include weeds, I'll get into that in just a minute. But let's say someone has a shed that they built too close to the property line or without a building permit. We give them 14 days to rectify that situation. If we don't have any kind of response from them in those 2 weeks, we come back and give them a second and final notice that says you need to comply within another 14 days, at least 14 days. We can give them more time if they're working with us, but at least 14 days to try to, again, fix that situation. In that case, if they don't comply at that point, the next step in the process is to forward these code complaints, code violations to our city attorney's office for prosecution through the legal system. So there are a couple of things that, as I talked with our existing code enforcement officer, he wanted me to make sure that I pointed out to you. We also work very closely with the complainants, right? So the people that actually file the complaint, we make sure to try to follow up with them so they know that there's action being taken. Sometimes it moves much slower than they would like. And we're hoping to address some of that through this new code enforcement process. But we do reach out to those complainants as well as the people that we're working with. In addition, we not only do we do notices, but there is personal service that happens. If we don't get good response from those mailed notices, we go out to people in person and we say, hey, we've got a problem here that we need to try to fix. Can you please help us get that problem fixed? So we do those in-person visits. That is kind of the normal process. I want to just point out weeds are a little bit different. We actually have some code authority right now to lien properties, which gives us the ability to handle that a little bit differently. So with weeds, people are given one 15-day notice. If no action is taken in that 15 days, then we have a contracted weed abatement specialist. It's a landscape guy that comes in and chops down the weeds. We can then charge that property owner for that service. If they don't pay that weed bill within 30 days, then we go, liens placed on the property, goes into their tax bill for the year, and they pay that with their taxes. So that's kind of existing process. Now, what are some of the issues with that? If you look at the next page, disadvantages of the current system. First of all, there's really no good mechanism for immediate citations. This is always funny to me. Some of these things, for example, let's say someone had a vehicle parked on their lawn, and we write them a notice and say, hey, we don't park vehicles on lawns in Marine City. We have some standards that restrict that. They don't comply at the time. We go through a process to keep that vehicle parked on the lawn. We have to go through a legal process to try to get that rectified. By the time we get to the courts, sometimes that's already been rectified. The judge looks at that and says, well, are they doing it now? No? Okay, well, we took care of it, right? So that's where that process can fall short. There's not really a good process for something that's immediate, that we can get immediate action, an immediate penalty or whatever in place. I talked about this a little bit, but the court process can take months or even years to complete. And so it's not sometimes ideal for some of these quick turnaround code enforcement issues, right? And I also think of things like weeds or snow removal. If we have to go through the court system, you can imagine if we end up at court in June for a snow removal complaint, that's gonna be a tough thing for us to talk about at that time of year, right? So that's another, I guess, shortcoming of the current system. And then consistency. When we send a land use matter or a zoning issue or some other code enforcement issue to a judge, we may get a judge that's not familiar with those types of issues. And so in a lot of cases, they do the very best they can, but it's hard for them to understand the importance of some of these laws. So we sometimes get inconsistent decisions. We're at their mercy to make a decision. It's the Solomon routine sometimes, splitting the baby. They try to make both parties happy, the city and the applicant, and that usually results in neither of those parties being happy if it has to go to that level. So,
excuse me. There we go. Now back to full volume here. So that's some of the things we've identified over the years as being some things that we'd like to see if we can fix. Now, as we look at code enforcement systems throughout the state, many communities, I'd say most communities now, have gone to what's called an administrative code enforcement program. We've looked at several cities around the valley. Predominantly, this is the system that people use now. So as we go, speaking to that next page, this is there's two tracks that we look at with the administrative code enforcement program.
there are what I would call long-term issues that we have to try to resolve, and there's short-term issues. So in this case, there would be two tracks that someone would receive notices and would go through those various tracks. The first one's notice of violation. This is for ongoing or things that will take a while to resolve. So that shed built without a permit is a good example of that. That's not something that someone can go out and say, hit the deflate button and suddenly it's gone. It's going to take some time for them to remove a shed that was built without a permit, or to obtain the permit that they need for that shed if it's possible. So in that case, that would be considered a notice of violation, something that takes a little while to resolve, and I'll go through some more of the distinctions there in a minute. An administrative citation would be something that could be issued at the moment. So for things like parking a vehicle in an unapproved location, that could be something that a citation could be issued. It could be put right on the vehicle, and at that point, the code enforcement is complete to a certain extent. I'll explain what that means, but they receive that citation. We've identified the violation, given them the citation, and we move on. And that's something they can correct quickly. So in the case of a vehicle parked in the wrong place, we move the vehicle. It's just like a parking ticket. If you get a parking ticket, the remedy for that is to pay your fine and to move your vehicle, right? That would be a similar thing with an administrative citation. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper so this hopefully makes a little more sense. So with a notice of violation or an administrative citation, in both cases, our proposal would be, we think it's still right to give a warning. We don't want to, it's voluntary compliance. That's the overall goal, voluntary compliance. So we would say in either case, first thing that would happen would be we give a warning, either a courtesy notice or an administrative warning. After that administrative warning or courtesy notice is given, they'd be given a time to fix the problem, right? Whatever that time period is. For notices of violation, we'd want to give a good time period. Most codes do 14 or 15 days. So in the example of a long-term problem, like a shed that needs to get a permit, they might not be able to get that permit within 50 days, but at least they could make the effort to show what their plan is for compliance, come to the city and say, this is how I plan to comply. We could work with them and say, we can live with that, or else we need to go through the process, an additional step or whatever that case may be. With an administrative warning, for example, on a parking issue, it would be a warning, it would be a time to rectify, and that would be the only warning that they would get, and the next time it would be a citation. So they would receive, essentially, when we say citation, we're talking about a ticket, right? That's what we're talking about. In that case, it's a one-time fine. We say you have, it's a violation of the code. We warned you that this could happen. You're gonna get a violation, or administrative citation. That's gonna come with a fine. That fine doesn't accrue. It's a one-time citation fine. They'd come just like a parking ticket. You'd come in and pay that and resolve it that way. And I'm gonna get into the rest of the hearing process in just a minute, but that would be an administrative citation. With a notice of violation, they'd have the 15 days to resolve it before an actual notice of violation comes. At that point, we would have a time period, like I said, we would propose no less than 14 days to resolve. During that 14-day time period, most of these codes give the folks a chance to appeal. So in the case of a shed that's been built without a permit, the person could come in and appeal and say, well, I have this extenuating circumstance. Or let's say the shed's too close to a property line. They could say, well, we have this thing that we think justifies a variance, and that's why we built this too close to a property line. Whatever the case may be, they can come in and request an appeal during that 14-day period. So that comes to our next step. Where does that appeal go? Well, the next part of this administrative code enforcement program is that we would appoint an administrative law judge. Most cities use attorneys, although that it doesn't necessarily have to be an attorney. But this would be someone that has experience with land use or zoning or code issues, municipal code issues, that could make a decision. They would be, just like it says, a judge in those cases. We can set the schedule, so unlike the regular court system, we can have regular hearings where these appeals can be heard, where these folks come in and make their case, and those can be set at our time frame. We typically see that those are anywhere from 45 to 60 days out for people to come in and do that. So it's much shorter. I know that sounds like a long time, but it's much shorter than the court process would be for that same type of a hearing. That hearings officer is authorized to look at fines and look at appeals and make decisions related to those based on our codes and based on good jurisprudence, just like we would with a judge, but they would go through that and look at that and make sure that we're looking at all the issues and give people their due process, which is the other important part of this. One difference between a notice of a violation and administrative citation also is if we get to a point where they've not requested a hearing, they haven't fixed the issue, they haven't even come in to talk to us, those fines, unlike the administrative citation, accrue. So we would come up with a fee that you would adopt as a council. I'm just gonna throw out a round number, $50 a day. Let's just say that's what it is. And that fee would accrue for every day that item stayed in violation or they didn't address it. So that's the difference between these two, is a little more time for the notice of violation without giving them a fine. But if we get to a point after a month of working with folks that they haven't made any effort to comply, then those fines begin to accrue on a daily basis. Okay, other things that are included in this, you'll see on that slide, it's that page 5 slide, is that there is, during that administrative law judge process, if we find that that someone's not making an effort to comply, we have abatement provisions, which means that the city is authorized to go out and fix the problem and take appropriate action to do that, and then adopt, again, fines that would help to pay for that abatement. There's a lot more to that abatement process that we'll go into in the coming weeks. There's also an emergency abatement provision in most codes. If we have something that's a threat to public health, for example, fire hazard, something else, where we can go in and abate and then hold the hearings after. Okay, so here's the advantages. That next slide that shows the advantages. Quick turnaround on those one-time or easy resolve violations. It's not a matter of weeks or months. We just give a citation, they correct the problem, they pay the fine, we move on. Again, quick turnaround for a request for appeals and administrative hearings. Instead of months, we're at weeks. It allows us to have a consistent process for each of these different violations. They'll have a code that says this is the process you go through. It allows us to adopt consistent fines and penalties. Again, if we go through the regular court system now, as we would do with a criminal or a civil court proceeding right now, it's hard for us to say what that fine is going to be, whether a judge is going to impose a fine, whatever the case may be. It could be, maybe not. This would give us consistency in that. Greater transparency of the public. We're going to have this process right on our website. Many of the cities will put something like, I just received an administrative citation, what now, kind of something on their website so that our community can know exactly what happens. It also applies to those that are complainants. They can see what the next steps in the process. So someone who has filed a complaint can say, okay, I can see that this is the next step that they're gonna go through to resolve this process, or resolve this problem, excuse me. And then the most important thing to me, again, that very last point, this does not take our ability away to work with people, and that's the most important thing, is voluntary compliance. If we have someone that after that 14-day warning period comes in and says, I got your notice, look, I've had this extenuating circumstances happen, I'm gonna comply, I just, I was in active duty in the military, couldn't get it done, whatever that case may be, we can still work with them through this process. But it gives us some very, very consistent and easy for people to understand process if that doesn't happen. Okay, so next steps. This is probably the part that I want to take a little bit of time on. This is just one slide that involves a lot of things. So the first thing that we need to do in order for this.
Which slide is that?
This is the very last one. Yeah.
We don't have,
Oh, you don't have that one?
no.
Would you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Last page didn't make it.
There you go. I'm glad I brought these.
I got nothing.
I'm sure I'm right.
That's yours.
Oh, it's not like it.
So the things that have to happen for this to happen, first of all, is this code. GL and I have been working together on reviewing the various codes from different cities, comparing. Like I said, there's a lot of cities that have similar programs. Each of them have their own unique twist to the implementation of this. We've seen some that we think are better for Murray's situation, some that we think would be what we'd recommend. But because of that, it's taking time for us to compile that and to do some cross comparisons of those various ordinances. So what we'll be doing in the subsequent weeks, hopefully very soon, I would hopefully have another committee of the whole meeting to review that code, either September 16th or the first meeting in October that we could review that code. Most likely that first week in October. But what we would do is go through that code with you, let you see what that code would implement what we just talked about. Another big step would be for us to select and appoint an administrative law judge. So communities that have done this in the past have put out requests for proposals. There are folks that do these regularly they work as administrative law judge. This is usually a contract position. It is a paid position with the cities that they do this for, and they do this for a certain number of hearings per year, and so their time is paid for in that way. This again, it doesn't have to be an attorney, but that often is what cities use to do this process because they have that experience with the law and the way that should be implemented. We've had a couple of recommendations on folks that are doing that for other cities, but I would suggest we'd want to put it out there and just see with that request for proposal process who responds and see if we can get the best administrative law judge that we can. And the other big one, this is a big one for you all, and that is the fines. So right now, as we're doing our code enforcement, we don't really talk too much about fines in these letters and citations, right? We let them know that this is a violation, that it could proceed to court. That's certainly a part of our current process. We let them know that the consequence of not complying is that it could possibly be forward for legal action. But we don't know exactly what that legal action would be. We don't know exactly if a judge would impose a fine, what that fine would be. So one of the important things the council is going to have to do is consider appropriate fines. Different cities have different amounts for administrative fines, for those daily violation fines. So we want to try to come up with something that would work, that would, of course, again, our goal is voluntary compliance. Sometimes though we have to give a little push. So we'd want to make it something that was at least enough to help people to feel that they need to take these things seriously, right? So that's going to be the balance that we'll bring back to you. So this discussion was meant to lay the groundwork for more discussions in the future. Just to let you know, in anticipation of some of these reorganizations, we have begun the process of hiring some code enforcement officers. We've got a code enforcement officer an additional one. Mark has been kind of manning the fort for about the last several months. So we've got an additional code enforcement officer starting on Tuesday, September 2nd. And that individual knows that we'll be doing a transition to a new system, and they're very excited about that. In the meantime, we'll continue with our current system. They'll be taught our current system, and we'll move on that way. We'll also be hiring as part of this a code enforcement supervisor that'll come in the next several weeks. And their responsibility would not only be day-to-day code enforcement, but predominantly coordinating with the administrative law judge, setting up hearing dates, processing appeals, taking care of fines, keeping track of fines, those kind of things. The administrative side of that, as well as doing their own code enforcement, active code enforcement. So with that, I've talked for a few minutes. What questions do you have?
What city or cities are you looking at to kind of
Yeah,
fit
so
us a little
the
bit?
one the city that's been doing this the longest in the state is West Valley.
Sure.
They've had the similar program for this for a long time. West Jordan is one we've had a lot of communications with, because they're a sister community to us, just neighboring to us. We've looked at Midvale, Holiday, was that one of the ones, Jill?
Yes.
Midvale, Holiday, so like I said, the West Valley, yes, Bluffdale is one of the ordinances we used as the basis of our text because it was fairly straightforward, but we didn't like the way they did everything, and they had some differences the way they did things when compared to West Jordan, so we made some tweaks there. So we've tried to pick the best of each of these codes that we think would work for Murray. Like, it's not a finished product yet, that's why we don't have it before you yet, but it will come soon. But those are the communities.
Okay.
So what's the fiscal note on it?
Yeah, so we have budget right now for the code enforcement positions. The current system we've had for many years was split between the community development department and the police department. So we had in your budget that you approved, those two officers already budgeted for. So the portion that we will need to get a handle on that I don't have a good answer for you is the administrative law judge costs. So we need to do some additional looking into that. There will be a budgetary impact. Now, keep in mind, there will also be fines collected through this process. That will help to offset some of those costs, but that's not our goal. And the purpose of this is not to collect fines. That's why I say anything that we've looked at, any of these code amendments, the overarching principle is voluntary compliance. That's what we want. We don't necessarily want to collect fees, but that will somewhat offset as we have fines that are collected, the cost for that administrative law judge. There will be some costs there, certainly. And we'll come, as we come back with the ordinances, we'll have a better handle on that for you.
Well, I'm really glad you're doing this. I
Yeah.
think it's really, we've needed it for quite a while,
And the
so.
residents are really hesitant in signing their name on that piece of paper. And so that's why they come to us, to me, because they're afraid that those people around them will find out that their neighbor or so.
So right now, we don't let people know who the complainant was. We know that's not our current process. We'll continue to not
Okay.
give out that information.
Because in the past, I was told that if they asked, they were given that information.
Only if a judge tells us that we have to.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
We don't just give it out.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I'm really glad you're doing it.
Yeah.
Any other questions about what we've gone through? Okay.
Yes.
Got you back on schedule.
You did?
Wow.
Okay, our last discussion item is on a resolution approving an interlocal corporation agreement between the city and the Murray City School District for Murray City firefighter to teach firefighters to teach fire education classes offered by the school district. Joey Middleman, presenting 10 minutes. Thank you. Hi.
Thanks, council. Thanks for letting us bring this program to you guys. And
Thank you for yesterday.
yeah, it was amazing.
was.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys for supporting our fire safety. Sorry, I just said fire safety. Police, public safety fair. Listen, I got a few things on my mind right now. It's turning in the background a few things that we won't. But anyhow. The Murray High School came to us, they actually came to me years ago and talked about a fire safety program. And we always kind of struggled trying to find the right style for it. And we started up an EMT program, not we as a city, but just we as fire employees. And we were able to run that through private organizations, which is always great when it runs through that. The fire science, we can't run that. And so they came to us and they said, is there any way that we could partner with you guys? You guys have the education, the equipment, the knowledge, and so forth, and just bring that to our students for the technology and trades. And we said, we'd love to. That is such a great feeder program. And if we can get these kids a year ahead, and they're also doing it in every school except for Murray throughout the Salt Lake Valley. And so we really feel like we were behind the eight ball a little bit on this. And so we're catching us up. And boy, if we had interest. To give you an idea, this program has 60 different folks that are interested in it, and 30 are all scheduled and ready to go for the intro class. And they are really excited. They then want to take that, and then they'll take their EMT in the fall. What it does is the primary goal is to educate the community, in this case, high school kids. They do have to be in their senior year, to prepare them for any kind of technology and trades. So this could be the fire service, which is where I want them to come, or it could be the sprinkler install area. They're not going to learn how to install fire sprinklers, but it is going to expose them to fire prevention, which has alarms, installs, and so forth in it. And it comes with a zero cost to the city. What it is we exchange just the employee cost, just like we do at the football games. That doesn't cost us anything. When you see our ambulance at the football games, the district just reimburses it. It does cost us as citizens, because that's our school district fees that come across our property tax. But that is already in place, and it's just now putting this program in line with where the school district would like it to be. And so they reimburse us our direct costs, and then we just run it through our folks. And so what we take on as a city, so we don't hide anything, is a little bit of liability. So our attorney's GL is helping with a contract that lays out that liability and reduces it to as far down as we can. But there is obviously always that. These employees that would then be helping, they have to go through all the same school district policies and procedures and training that a regular teacher has to go through. And those of you guys that have taught in the school district, you know how in-depth some of that stuff is. And so they'll be dueling up, and they'll be okay. We have 12 employees that are really excited, 2 that are extremely excited to run the program, and then 10 employees that will be the fill-in folks for this.
We have 2 employees that are excited and 10 that we said they're going to be excited.
He jokes around about that, but they all volunteer.
They won't.
Yeah.
They won't.
There's a lot of truth to that with many assignments, just not this one. Voluntold, I think they call it in the military, right? But they showed up. They actually interviewed for these spots to make sure that they were getting the top candidates and stuff. And it was neat seeing them. They're very interested in the community and making sure this builds up. To finish up this, I can't remember when I started, so I'm really trying.
45.
Okay. Here's my final thing is, this gets them a year ahead of anybody else graduating high school that chose to not go through this, because you have to have what they call an FSF 1000. That's UFRA, or the State Fire and Rescue Academy's basic class, as well as this leads into their EMT class, as well as then they get talking with our folks, and then they get their anatomy, physiology, med term done in high school. Not through this program, but
Right.
They don't know that unless they're in talking with us, and then they're prepared to go through their paramedic program or their fire school or whatever it is that they go to. And so it's incredibly helpful. And so thanks for giving me the time. And what questions you guys have?
I think it's wonderful. I'm
glad we're doing it finally.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Hell of a recruitment tool.
Yeah, it is. We hope to snag them just like we do our cadets.
Excellent. They're pretty good. Good job.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Joey.
Okay, this is our last discussion, and we will now adjourn until 6:15 for the Board of Canvassers. Thank you.
Yeah, you did great.
I'm always teasing.
Finished 5 minutes early. Way to go.
You got her out.
Please, yeah.
Damn, she comes from. I
It's not having a PowerPoint. It makes it
thought that
go
was pretty good. You're going,
faster.
that's pretty good. That went well.
I have a boss that wants me to speak.
This is happening.
No, but
think we're going to be ready to start this next meeting, the Board of Canvassers, August 26, 2025, at 6:15. I'm going to turn the time over to our recorder, Brooke Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize, we don't have a slideshow presented, but I do print one out for you. You have it at your tables. This is to review the canvass results of the primary election. Earlier today, received the final results from the county. I forwarded those on to you from the county. And this is just to go quickly over the status. Just for purpose, this is to review and certify the election results. It is in a public hearing, so we're providing that transparency. It was noticed on the city website, the state website, as well as our bulletin board. And the voting members are our mayor and our city council members. Going over the election results, we have 28,412 active voters. Of that, 8,511 dropped off their ballot in a drop box or by mail. And then we had 89 voters that voted in person somewhere in the county. We had 82 electronic ballots sent out with the UOCAVA Disability Electronic Ballot Act. That's our uniformed and overseas citizens. Of that, we had 11 return their ballots back that way. And then we had 2 provisional ballots that were counted. I'll go over provisionals in a minute. Of that, the total for this election was 8,613 ballots that were counted. And we had a voter turnout of 30.3% of our registered voters, which is great. I would love to see 100%. We'll never get there. But the county turnout average turnout was 23.61%. So we are above the average for the countywide. Going on to slide number 4, the challenges and uncounted ballot statistics. We had 124 ballots that were challenged. Of that, we had 66 that were not cured by the end of the deadline, which was yesterday at noon. Those were 55 ballots that the signature did not match the voter signature registration. 3 of them were unsigned, and then 6 were uncurable for another reason, a little bit went off. We also had 14 ballots that were returned with a disability affidavit attached to them, and that means when something is cured, or when we're trying to cure a ballot, there is a checkbox that says, do you have a disability that would make it so your signature doesn't match? So if they had Parkinson's or a stroke, or they're an aging voter, they could check that box. And we had 14 of those ballots that were returned that way and counted towards the total of the cured ballots. The slide number 5, rejected ballot status. We had 120 ballots that were returned after the postmark date. This is a new law that was done by the state legislature, that all ballots had to be received by Tuesday at 8 o'clock, including the ballot boxes and by mail. The city and the city recorders around the county have actively been trying to notify people. I did several notices on our city website stating that the deadline was 8 o'clock. So I would encourage residents and citizens to follow their city websites just to make sure that they're receiving those updated notices. And I'm hoping to have that number down by the general election. The provisional ballots are ballots that weren't able to be verified, and so they had to provide some sort of additional identification. There was 3 of those. 2 of them were issued on the same day of that they registered, or the voting day, and 2 of them were counted. One of them had insufficient ID to prove who they were, so that one was not counted. For our candidates, we had 4 people running for mayor. 1 of them dropped out. And so the 3 remaining candidates, we had John Jeffrey Evans, who received 16.64% of the votes and 1,414 votes. Bruce E. Turner received 24.60% of the votes, and that's 2,090 votes. Brett A. Howells received 58.76%, and that was 4,992 votes. For Council District 2, we had 4 candidates. Pamela Jane Cotter received 45.86% of the votes and 947 votes total. Del M. Cox received 20.48% of the votes, which is 423. Jared Michael Eborn received 23.97% of the votes, which was 495 votes. And Aaron Lee Holbrook received 9.69%, which was 200 votes. Council District 3 is a two-year term, filling Rosalba's and Scott Goodman's position. We have Clark Bolin, who received 44.72% of the votes, which is 856 votes. Scott Goodman received 18.29%, which is 350 votes. Ben Peck received 27.69% of the votes, which is 530 votes. And Leanne Parker Reed received 9.3% of the votes, which was 178 votes towards her. Based on that, the people that will be moving forward, there'll be two candidates on the primary election. So for mayor, we're going to have Bruce E. Turner and Brett A. Hells. Council District 2 is Pamela Jane Cotter and Jared Michael Eborn. Council District 3 is Clark Bolin and Ben Peck. And Council District 4 is running unopposed with Diane Turner on the ballot box. Your responsibility now is just to review and confirm the totals. And then I'm going to turn the time over to you for a motion for the resolution to approve those final election results, unless you have any questions.
Do we have any questions from the council for Brooke? If not, I will take a motion.
I move to approve the resolution of the Board of Canvassers of Murray City approving the final election results for the 2025 primary.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Brooke?
Mayor Hells.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Good. Thank you so much. Just for clarification, next steps, I'm going to be publishing these notices, are the election results on our city website, the bulletin board, the county website will also have it, and the Utah Public Notice website will have the results there, and then we will file a copy with the lieutenant governors. And then just for way of a notice, elections for the general election will be Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. So thank you so much for your time. And I just want to acknowledge that some candidates are here tonight, and it takes a lot to run and put yourself out there and be representative of the community. And I just want to thank the people that have decided to run and do that for our city. So thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. Okay, if there's no other discussion, I will adjourn this meeting and we'll wait. Oh, there's a resolution.
Oh, no, we did that. We did it. Yeah.
Well, the city attorney said we are now done and we can adjourn. So we will adjourn until 6:30 and for our regular city council meeting. Thank you, Brooke, again.
Thank you.
August 26, 2025. We have everybody here except for the mayor, but I'm sure he's on his way. He was here. What? All right, let's mess with me now. Great. All right, so we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Bryant, are you going to help us out with that? You come on up and help us out with that. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, welcome, Mayor. All right, so first up is approval of the minutes for the council meeting, July 15th, 2025. Anybody have any additions, corrections?
I didn't have anything.
No?
None.
Okay, so I would like a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from City Council meeting July 15, 2025.
I second it.
Okay, a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes are approved. Move on to citizen comments. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form.
Okay, can you hear me today? Leanne Parker Reed. I just wanted to thank all of you and all the citizens out there for voting in the primary election. I think that's a vital piece of our legislation, and we should continue to do that. And I wanted to thank all of those who are continuing forward. Congratulations. I want to give condolences to those of us who didn't quite make it any further, but I have an important information to say to those who are moving forward. I expect the same integrity and the same commitment to our city as always, and I will be watching. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, everyone.
My name's Colby Oliverson, Murray City resident. I'm sure you guys can affectionately know me as the pond guy now. Once again, thank you just genuinely and sincerely to the mayor, the council members, and city staff for all the time that they have spent on this issue. I know it's not an issue that affects a lot of people, but I do just want you to consider, what if it was you? When you have someone trying to do something like this, and it's your next door neighbor, it has a big impact on you. I'm also doing this on the fly. I usually try to write things ahead of time, so forgive me if it's not eloquently spoken. But my understanding is the ordinance, a draft ordinance is currently being worked on for this. And again, I want to thank everyone who's spending time on this issue. Knowing that it's being worked on, I wanted to raise a few ideas or suggestions that I hope that the ordinance will address, and for you all to keep in mind once you see the ordinance. The first is, I hope it addresses setbacks. The second is, I hope that it should address the maximum size of a pond given like the property size. So if it's a 1/4 acre lot, is it reasonable to have a 60, 50, 30, 20 foot pond in that size of property? I know there can be a lot of debate on like what those numbers are, but I do think that that should be considered in the ordinance. The third is the lining. In my particular instance, or situation. This pond, this giant pool-sized pond is being built 5 feet away from my detached garage. So I have concerns that if it's not lined properly and maintained properly, that if it leaks, that it could cause structural issues for my detached garage. And then also water quality. I hope that the ordinance can consider water quality. Mosquitoes and bacteria can easily become an issue. Also, if you have a pool-sized pond, I strongly believe that pools are very similar, or ponds are very similar to pools. So we should look at the regulations we have around pools when we're considering this ordinance. For example, fencing along the property, the height of the fence, if it should be covered, if it exceeds a certain size. A kid could easily fall in a pond and drown. That is a major concern for me. And thank you again for all the time you're spending on this.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the citizen comments. We're going to move on to special recognition. Murray City Employee of the Month, Human Resource Analyst Nadine Brown. Myself, Mayor Hales, and Robin Colton presenting. Yeah, so we're doing, I have it.
Come on up, Nadine. Oh, you know, I love this. It's the Employee of the Month, and we've been doing it for about 12 years. Nadine, I can tell you're very nervous about this. I always tease I can't really do this with Nadine, even though it's Robin's the one that always wants to have the Employee of the Month. I don't know why, but she's always begging us to do it for her, but I'm kidding. But anyway, but Nadine is so nervous. But Nadine, this is exciting. This is a huge compliment to you. And Robin was very concerned. She goes, oh, Nadine doesn't really like the limelight. And I says, oh, we're going to do it anyway. So anyway, this is a big appreciation from the administration, from Robin. Robin's who nominated your name. Nadine works with in Human Resources, and Scott's going to read the certificate regarding this. But we just want to say thank you for all you do for Murray City. It's huge. You're great. Robin just gives a lot of you're detail oriented, and that's what she needs. So thank you so much for all you do for the city and the council. And Scott represents the council here, so he'll go ahead and read this information. But let's give Nadine a big round of applause.
Okay, Nadine Brown, with gratitude for 6 years of dedicated service, precision, and commitment to excellence. With appreciation for hard work, valuable knowledge, and attention to detail, your behind-the-scenes contributions have made you an indispensable part of the Human Resource Department, or department team. Sorry about that. Thank you so much.
Oh, and by the way, Scott, there's $50 in that thing, so that's right. Yeah, I know. That's right. I think, hey, we got $50. I want to bring that up. So anyway, okay, Robin's the HR director, Robin.
Okay, I had to write this down so I don't forget while I'm up here. So Nadine's been an analyst in my department for the last 6 years. So she's been with me almost since the very beginning of me taking over the office. And she's just been consistent in demonstrating excellence and professionalism in all she does. Because we're such a small office, she has to wear lots of hats. So her primary responsibilities include recruiting, compensation, administration. So she tracks everybody's steps on the step plan. She manages our evaluation system. She oversees job descriptions and handles records retention. And I don't know anyone of course, we all want to be perfect in our job, but she really does strive to be 100%. I've never met anyone who is just I have to get this. And she all like 99.9% of the time she's there. So she does awesome. One of her most impactful contributions has been her role in digitizing our HR files. So today I looked, and there's 944 old employee files, and some of these are like thick files. And she's done the bulk of all of those in our office. So while she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, she doesn't get a lot of recognition because she's in her office just working away. She likes to be busy all the time. And so I think even though she's not in the spotlight, she's the kind of teammate everyone wants in their corner. And so that's why I think she was deserving of Employee of the Month, so.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Just wanted to say thanks to my husband and son for coming and supporting me. I think that they know that this is kind of uncomfortable for me, but I really love working for the city. It's been a great place to develop and grow and gain new knowledge. I have a fantastic group of ladies that I work with. We're really close-knit. And even though I don't live here anymore, I consider Murray my home away from home. So thank you.
All right, so the next item is a joint resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, recognizing and celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Murray Symphony. Do I need to read this whole thing? 50 years. That's awesome. Wow. That's awesome. So,
Scott thought you were all here to comment.
I know, I was like, wow, what a turnout. But it's, so coming from a former band geek, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, 50 years in an organization like, with an organization like that is pretty cool. And thank you, and keep it up.
Thank you. Stand up one more time so we can see. I apologize. I just want everyone to recognize. You guys are amazing. You've performed over the amphitheater, and you're just, I mean, really, they're a live orchestra, and to listen to them play is just, I love it. It's absolutely amazing. And we're looking forward to all of you performing in our new Murray Theater. So that's going to be fun. I know I can see a lot of smiles from the director. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Scott, for recognizing them, and from the administration and the council. We are so grateful to have you here in Murray. So a huge round of applause again for our Murray Symphony. Thank you. Thank you. You want to say anything? Come on.
City Council members, Mayor Hales, and members here, thank you so much. My name is Michelle Willis. I'm the music director for Murray Symphony. And I wanted to say thank you on behalf of all of us for allowing us to be a part of your community. We feel very, very grateful and blessed that we have the opportunity to take our talents and things that we just love to do, and we love getting together, and it's like a family experience, and be able to take that love and bring it into the community and share it with you. That has brought us a lot of joy, and I've only been here just a portion of that 50 years, but I feel so very blessed and thankful that I've had the opportunity to work with Murray City and appreciate all the support that you all give and that you continue to help us do what we do best and in serving this community. Thank you so much.
Okay, I've just been informed that I'm remiss in my duties here, that I should read the rest of the resolution. Okay, so whereas the Murray Symphony was founded in 1975 by a group of passionate local musicians, united by a shared dedication to making quality music by the community, for the community, and whereas, the Murray Symphony has been dedicated to bringing inspiring and uplifting music to the city of Murray, and whereas by the past 50 years, Murray Symphony has enriched the cultural landscape of Murray and the surrounding region through its commitment to artistic excellence and community engagement. And whereas the symphony has provided countless opportunities for local musicians to develop their talents, collaborate, and share the joy of music with audiences of all ages. And whereas through concerts, outreach programs, special performances, the Murray Symphony has inspired generations, fostered a love of music, and straightened the bonds of the community. And whereas the enduring success of the Murray Symphony is a testament to the dedication of its musicians, conductors, volunteers, board members, and supporters who have worked tirelessly for over 5 decades to sustain and grow this cherished organization. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Murray and City Council of Murray City do hereby recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Murray Symphony, express profound gratitude for its remarkable contributions to the cultural life of our community, and extend best wishes for many years of success and harmony. Yeah. Always thank you. Oops, moving.
Scott, can they
Oh, yeah, I'm
leave?
sorry.
Oh, you're saying that.
Yep.
Got 'em.
So I will entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the joint resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, recognizing and celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Murray Symphony.
I second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Brooke?
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion is passed. Next is public hearings. Let's see.
Scott, real quick, can they leave if they want?
Oh, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
of course.
You don't have to stay.
Yes,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Yeah, I mean, this is exciting stuff. You may want to.
I mean, we're gonna talk about landscaping. Come on.
Yeah, you want me to go ahead and read the
Really
thing
stuff.
that we're going to talk about first? Or you want to just jump right into it? I know. He's messing with me. All right. All right, we have a public hearing section. Consider an ordinance amending sections 17.08.020, 17.68.030, 17.68.040, and 17.68.060 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to landscaping requirements. Zachary Smallwood presenting.
Hello, council. Nice to see you again. Yeah, this is a request from both the planning division and the water department to update our landscaping requirements for commercial and residential zones. I apologize. I don't have slides in front of you. I'm still going to look at my slides, but yeah. So there are a couple places where we needed to add some definitions. So we're adding an active recreation definition, activity zones, and a definition of what lawn is. Also, in the landscape requirements themselves, so originally we had requested that people give us 3 copies, paper copies. It was written in the code that they had to give us those paper copies for landscape plans. I thought that was a little antiquated. We don't usually take paper copies on most things anymore, so just cleaning that up. So also a couple other cleanup items. One of the things that we've experienced since I've been here for over 7 years now is the requirement that the front landscape area had to be 50% of coverage at the time of planting. It seemed excessive and ends up costing a lot of money to do that. And so we had been enforcing 50% at maturity, so this is just aligning the code with how we've been working through it. Also, we updated the various zones that are, I think, that are exempt from some of these requirements, specifically like our mixed use codes, because they do have specific landscaping requirements that would be different than some of these standards as well. So lawn restrictions, specifically, we are requesting that turf grass and lawn shall not be installed in locations that are smaller than 8 feet in width and that they shall not be installed in park strip paths or slopes greater than 25% or 4-to-1 grade, and shall not exceed 20% of the total landscaped area outside of active recreation areas, hence the need for a definition. That's for commercial. So residential shall not exceed 35% of the total landscaped area in the front and side yards of new residential construction. So this doesn't apply to people that already have their homes and landscaped. However, if they are wanting to go for the Utah Water Savers program, some of that will come into play at that point when they convert that over. Small residential lots which have no backyard, which the total landscaped area is less than 250 square feet, and which the front yard dimensions cannot accommodate the minimum 8 feet wide lawn area, are exempt from the minimum, that minimum there. So those are the large changes there. So our findings are the proposed text amendment promotes water conservancy for both business and residential users, especially since, we had a couple, 2 good water years back to back, and now we're kind of back at this not so great water year. The proposed text amendment's been reviewed to ensure the health, safety, and general welfare of the community are maintained. Staff finds the proposed amendment does not conflict with any recommendation in the general plan. The proposed amendments enacts policy goals stated in both the Water Master Plan and the Water Conservation Plan. And the Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 5th and voted 5-1 to forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council. So with that, the Planning Commission and staff are recommending that the City Council adopt the ordinance amending the sections as stated in your packet. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Yep, so nothing from us right now, Zach. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing section. Remember, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out required form.
Hi, my name is Rachel Palmer. I'm a resident of Murray, and I would just like to express my support of this initiative to update our landscaping requirements and to help us save some water. I'm really, as a side project, I've really gotten excited about learning more about sustainable landscape design, and I'm really excited to start taking that into my own residence just down the street in Murray. And I think that this is a great step forward to help us conserve some water, hopefully help our overall community, and also allow our fellow residents to be eligible for the Utah Water Savers program. So I just wanted to voice my support of this initiative. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public comments section. Anything from the council to add? Dan's reaching for it.
Like Rachel said, water conservation is so very important. So I'm really glad that we're hopefully passing this resolution. And with that, I will make a motion if you would like.
I would accept one.
All right, you got it. This is a motion to adopt the ordinance amending section 17.08.020, 17.68.030, 17.68.040, and 17.68.060 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to landscape requirements.
I second it.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Brooke?
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. That has passed. Let's see. All right, next item for, oh my gosh, hang on. There we go. Okay, next item, public hearing. Consider an ordinance amending sections 17.92.080, 1796.100, 17100 .100, 17.104.100, 17.108.100, 17.112.100, 17.116.070, 17120.070, 17.124.070, and 17.128.070 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to exemptions into setback areas for all residential zones. Zachary Smallwood presenting.
Hello again. So this is a really exciting text amendment for planning and zoning. We get a lot of residents that come in and are upset when they can't cover their porch or, a patio or something of that nature. Because the way we've enforced it for decades is that any covered patio or porch must meet the same setbacks as the home. So that's typically 25 feet in the back, 25 feet in the front, things like that. So it was great that we're able to make, recommend this change. This would allow for those encroachments into the setbacks if it's open on three sides. So it's really just kind of a cover instead of a, enclosed space. Cannot exceed 1 story in height. The roof canopy is no longer than 1/2 the width of the main dwelling, of which it's located. I already said the three sides thing. The columns supporting the roof or canopy are constructed on individual pad footings or similar design. And in no instance, the additions encroach to less than within 20 feet of a front yard or within 10 feet of a rear yard property line. So I had a bunch of cool diagrams that illustrated this, and you don't get to see any of them, so I'm sorry. I guess you get to see them in your packet, but the people that are here don't get to see my cool diagrams that I spent hours making. Just kidding, not really. So really, I'll just say what the findings are. The proposed text amendment proposed objectives, 3 of the neighborhoods and housing section of the general plan. The text amendment has been reviewed to ensure the health, safety, and general welfare of the community are maintained. Staff finds that the proposed amendment does not conflict with any recommendations of the general plan. And on June 5th of this year, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and voted 6-0 to 4 to recommendation of approval. So we are recommending that the Planning Commission and staff are recommending that the council adopt the proposed changes. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Zach. Go ahead and open the public hearing part. Just remember, as you step up to the microphone, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. State your name and city of residence and fill out the required form, please. Okay, seeing none, council, do you have anything to add? Questions? No?
I don't, but I will move.
Will you?
I will.
Awesome, thank you.
To amend the residential zones to allow greater encroachment into setbacks for porches, awnings, shades, and et cetera.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a first and second. Brooke?
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye. All right, resolution passes. Next item is a business item. Consider a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and the Murray City School District for Murray City firefighters to teach fire education classes offered by the school district. Chief Joey Middleton presenting.
There we go. Sorry, the light thing. It's an easy thing. It's complicated apparently for me. But welcome again. Thank you, council, for the opportunity to propose this before you.
What we've done is we've worked with Murray High School and Murray School District with their Technology and Trades division. And one of the things that we've noticed is Murray School District has not had a fire science intro class that all the other school districts throughout the county have had. And so one of the things that we've worked with them on is just getting a couple of our folks here at Murray Fire Department to do a trade across the board. It doesn't come at any cost to the citizens or to the city in regards to the city aspect. It's covered underneath their regular funding with the school district, and we provide the employees to be able to go over there and educate, and then they reimburse us. But it's to hopefully get these kids in advance on being able to get into fire school. So they have to take a class that's a fire intro class and behavior and combustion. They get to learn a little bit more. And then not only that, it also goes into the technology and trades, as we spoke about in the committee of the whole, of like fire alarm system installs as well as sprinkler systems. And it just kind of expands their horizon within their high school education to really open up their opportunities. In our end, it really advances them to be able to get into the Utah Fire and Rescue Academy, which we're really excited. They could go right out of high school, right into the class with their EMT and their fire intro class. And hopefully, this will be a great recruiting tool. I shouldn't even say hopefully. I know it will be a great recruiting tool. And there's nothing better than finding one of those gems, which there's a lot of them out there if you're listening. I don't think too many high school kids are listening to this, but there's a chance. We'd love to hire these folks as they become adults and are ready for the fire service. So thanks again for considering approving this. And do you guys have any questions for me?
Doesn't look like we have any questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution of the interlocal agreement with the Murray School District.
I'll second.
All right, have a first and second. Brooke?
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Mr. Pickett,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Mr. Goodman.
Aye, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Chief. Okay, next up, Mayor's report. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Scott. The thing I want to talk about for just a second is a big thanks to our first responders for yesterday evening's event. Kip, thank you so much, and Joey, thank you. Please let all your employees know how much we love and appreciate them. And I've had the opportunity to speak to both fire chief and police chief, and they feel very blessed to have the employees that they have here at Murray City. And we're lucky that we have such great employees, and we're constantly keeping them in our prayers for safety with what we've seen lately is just a tragedy. And anyway, we're grateful for our first responders, and it was a wonderful event. Cindy was there last night and said it was just phenomenal. And thanks for all you that supported it. And again, thanks for all our citizens coming out and supporting. It's one of the most important things we have here is our first responders. So you protect our neighborhoods, and our citizens really love and appreciate all that you do for them, and so do we as a council and administration. So that's my report, just to give a big thanks to our first responders. And you know what? I'd like to end with an applause for them. Thank you. And that's my report, Scott.
Sorry, say again?
That's my report.
Okay, awesome. Okay, with that, we have no more business items. I do adjourn us.